The owner of YouTube, the biggest video streaming platform in the world, decides it wants a piece of the gaming pie and launches Google Stadia, a game streaming service. What does it do right and what does it do wrong? By now you may have heard the negative and sometimes vicious feedback about Google Stadia. This certainly isn't a video to join in with the dog pile, it's simply straightforward feedback on my experience using it. Part of the review is obviously about Stadia, the product and service from Google, but there is also another part which is about the relevance of cloud gaming, which I will come to later. Google revealed Stadia back in March 2019. The standard way to play premium video games requires you to buy the game, but you must also have a PC or console to play them on, like PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo Switch. Stadia is different. It uses a purpose-built server farm of PCs which run games. These are accessed remotely by players through their TV, smartphone, or web browser. And the promised benefit of all this is cost and convenience. People will no longer have to buy an expensive console to play premium video games. So titles are not just restricted to hobbyists, but democratizes gaming by making it available to anyone with an internet connection. This also opens up the market to publishers who immediately have a massively increased user base of people to sell their games to. Gaming becomes more convenient, allowing the player to play games on a variety of devices at home or whilst out and about. So the cost. There is a free level of Google Stadia service where games come at a maximum resolution of 1080p, 60 frames per second, and stereo sound, although this doesn't launch until 2020. Or you can pay £8.99 a month or $9.99 for a monthly Pro subscription which has improved visuals and sound, 4K graphics, 60 frames per second, HDR and 5.1 surround sound, and games are purchased separately. I ordered the Founders Edition for £119, which is $129.99 in the USA, and it comes complete with a Chromecast Ultra for 4K and HDR streaming to a TV, a night blue controller, and a 3-month subscription to Stadia Pro, and also one for a friend, and a claimed first access to a Stadia username. So this is what you get in the box: the Chromecast Ultra, the power chargers, the controller. The setup process is convoluted, requiring the use of 2 separate Google smartphone apps. You need a special invite code to create your user account. However, Google doesn't include this in the box. You have to wait for it to be emailed to you. Despite myself being one of the first to pre-order, my Stadia came on the day after launch, and when my package came through the post, I hadn't actually been sent the invite code, so I was unable to use Stadia until I received mine about 12 hours later. Google acknowledged this problem, but it meant that my username, the one that I had hoped to get, was taken. It's understandable that if multiple people want the same name, only one person can get it. Looking at Twitter, it seems a lot of UK customers were affected, and Google gave review units to websites 1 to 2 weeks before the consumer launch. That's fine, but Google also allowed privileged staff at organisations like IGN to claim the prime usernames that they'd advertised as a selling point of Stadia that consumers had paid money for. They should have given journalists a temporary username or one with a reviewer prefix. So the whole username promise was broken. The tech for it collapsed, and it started off the whole process for me, and for many other people too, with a very bad taste about Google Stadia. What Google should have done is just put the code in the box. Now I'll plug that into the back of the TV in one of the 3 HDMI ports. It's a little bit dark here, but I hope you can see. This is the Chromecast, and it's plugged into one of my 3 HDMI ports on the TV. And it's got a cable coming out of it going to the power, going to the mains. The setup process isn't difficult for the tech literate, but it is overly convoluted, requiring you to use the Google Home app to set up the Chromecast Ultra, and then the Google Stadia app to set up the account and controller. It could have all been simplified by integrating the Ultra into the Stadia app. The user interface on TV is perfunctory at best, almost non-existent at worst. After you select your user account, you will be in the menu for the last game you played. Your other available games are overlaid at the bottom of the screen. And that's it. You're able to select your games, and using the Stadia app you can add friends, browse the game store and buy titles and click on links to websites. And that's it. The controller. and the first feel. And you know what? Within a couple of seconds, I can say that actually feels quite comfortable. And that's not damning it with faint praise. It's just how many third-party controllers have you picked up and felt and have been really uncomfortable. And at first instance, this has got a reasonable amount of weight. It's not too heavy, but it feels like the thumbs and the fingers. It feels like the thumbs and the fingers all go in the right place. Okay. The two top buttons are used for in-game controllers. The Google Assistant button, it's not functioning yet, and the Share button allows you to take a screenshot of 30-second clip. These weren't viewable at all at launch. Now, at the time of recording, they are viewable in the Stadia app, but they're located in a haphazard way under the game's library, and it's not even possible to share or post these anywhere. So at this stage, they are only available for yourself to view. Pressing the Stadia button brings up a sidebar where you can view your connection quality, link a controller, or adjust audio levels. The most surprising missing feature of the Stadia is the one that Google shouted loudest about: live streaming. Stadia is built around the idea of complementing the YouTube experience by allowing live stream viewers to jump in and join the games that they are watching. These are advanced features that haven't been done before, so I wasn't expecting this to be ready. But it is surprising that live streaming direct from Stadia is not possible, especially as this is so easily done on PS4. It would have drawn people's eyes to these streams by people eager to find out more about Stadia graphics, and this can help launch and grow a community. So what about the most important part? The performance. Now, performance is going to be entirely dependent on one's internet connection. So if you're watching a review, you have to compare the speed of your own internet to the reviewers to get a better insight to what your own experience might be like. I have 50 megabits. I was using Stadia connected to my router wirelessly, and it was about 6 meters and one door apart. In terms of performance, it was better than I was expecting. I played on a 4K TV with 4K graphics. The first game was Samurai Showdown, and it was big and bright and the colors were very vivid, and I certainly didn't notice any pixelation. The latency felt okay, and let me expand on this. It certainly didn't feel broken in any way. Whilst playing the game, when I pressed the button to punch or to kick, my character would respond and I'd see it on screen, and it worked. I did win a game, which is pretty good because I've got no skills, and it was my first go. But it didn't feel super responsive. It wasn't bad, and definitely most casual gamers wouldn't notice. It's certainly fine for non-competitive play. Destiny was fine too. The colors seem slightly muted, but that might be because some media outlets have claimed it is using 1080p graphics that have been upscaled. I can't confirm that because I just don't have the equipment to detect that. But there were no glitches, no pauses, no artifacts. It seemed to play fairly responsively. I was purposely looking for latency, and it did feel ever so slightly sluggish. I played through the tutorial level, and when I played it again on PS4, it did feel more responsive. However, when shooting left and right and back again, that is when I noticed a bit of latency. But again, most people wouldn't have any issue with it. I was able to aim at a boss with some precision. Tomb Raider looked good and latency was fine. To be clear, whilst I could detect latency in all these games, they worked absolutely fine and were completely playable. What I did find most remarkable was pausing my game on the TV and then going to my computer, opening up the Chrome browser, typing Stadia, and there was my game in the same pause state which I had left it, and I was able to continue. Utterly brilliant, and the convenience of playing your game at whatever screen is nearest to you is absolutely a compelling selling point of cloud gaming. I tried it twice on my computer. The first time there was some infrequent but repeated artifacts. However, the second time it worked. So maybe it was simply a case of Google improving their systems, or maybe just server load had decreased because most Stadia users had sent their units back. The controller looks bland but felt perfectly comfortable. It has the symmetrical analog sticks like the DualShock 4, approximately the same distance apart. But I found my hands felt less cramped, less tight. In the short time I used it, it felt more comfortable than the DS4, and I had no desire for offset sticks. I would need to use it for longer to see how comfortable it is over a prolonged period. So Sony pioneered the share button in home consoles, and thankfully Microsoft is bringing it to Xbox. Stadia have added their capture button. I'm used to using it on the left with PS4, Switch Pro controller does it too, so the button being on the right seems off, but this could just be my muscle memory. The two extra face buttons, I'll call them Start and Select because Google haven't given them a name yet, are furthest away, and Capture and Google Assistant buttons are nearer, and that seems a bit bonkers. I would have had it the other way around because you would normally use those buttons in game and you would use those more often. This product has not had a good launch. Sure, leaving out the ability to register was a debacle, but ultimately that was just a teething problem. But Google have gone and launched this product. They have charged a premium for early access to a service so lacking in features it's not even a beta. Doing so, it demonstrated an utter contempt for customers, at best not thinking of them as people or thinking about their user experience. The UI is almost non-existent, only accessing the Stadia features by a basic app, missing promised features like streaming to YouTube. Phil Harrison and the Stadia team made a big mistake in releasing this before the product was finished. It's not to say the product didn't work in its core feature, cloud gaming streaming. This works. For me it worked, and it worked well enough, and for casual gamers this is absolutely fine. If you have a fast, good enough internet connection, then it will work for you. The rest of the features will come with time. How Stadia will fare further down the line is down to whether Google can offer a compelling business model, and if the gaming press isn't so bad, or if the coverage isn't so bad that it kills off any future consumer support. I've seen and heard and read a lot from gaming industry commentators who are so angry at Stadia for offering a product that is different from what they've known. But they are gaming Luddites. They are resistant to the changes new tech developments bring. But tech doesn't stand still. We've moved from cartridges to discs, CDs to Blu-rays to digital downloads, and cloud gaming is going to be a new option in gaming. I'm not saying it's going to kill off the PS5 or the Xbox X. It doesn't mean cloud gaming will replace consoles, but it will certainly be an option of growing significance. And the concept, if it is ever properly realised, is amazing. To play the latest premium games on console or PC, you need a console or PC. But with this, a kid who doesn't own a console can see his friends are playing, for example, the latest Call of Duty or Fortnite, and he or she can join them without having to own a console. And in developing nations who have no chance of affording a new console like a PS5 or the Xbox Series X won't need to miss out on the latest games as long as they have a strong Wi-Fi connection. Yes, the premium consoles will both be the best way to play cutting-edge console games, but if you don't have $450 or £450, then streaming games on YouTube will be a great way to play. Cloud gaming is part of the future of gaming. The only question is whether Stadia can step up before its competitors do. Thanks for listening. Leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next set of videos. Cheers.